2023 was a pretty big year for me and the channel. I got to shoot a ton of guns, 31 guns that I did videos on and 5 more that I did from a trade show. And there's even a few more guns that I'm in flight with and working on that slid into 2024. I can tell you far and away that we're truly blessed to be where we are with the handguns available to us in this market. Basically, everything is excellent. Welcome back to the Humble Marksman channel. I'm David, and I'm happy to be sitting with you looking back on the year that was 2023 and all the excellent guns that we got to shoot. Now, 2023 was an interesting year. Be sure you're subscribed to the channel if you think you are, because YouTube is doing some interesting stuff. My top 5 guns is a completely subjective list, and what generating this list has shown me is that I have a ridiculously expensive taste in guns. So it's actually going to be a top, I guess, 9 guns, because I'm going to do 3 budget guns, 1 gun that I feel like is innovative and trying to change the way that we're ordering pistols, and then my top 5 guns that I just legitimately really liked or found to be significant. Now, before we get started on the list, I do want to thank my Patreon supporters and my supporters over on Locals. You guys are amazing, and part of the reason we're able to look at all these guns this year is the support you guys provide. So I really do appreciate you guys doing what you do. And I'd be curious for you, dear viewer, if you could sound off in the comments right now. Let me know what your favorite pistol that you shot this year was. So sound off in the comments now and we'll get started. So first is a gun that was the most successful video on my channel this year with nearly 300,000 views, and that is the Stealth Arms Platypus. This gun is changing the way that pistols are delivered, where you can specify a number of different configurations on the pistol and then have them Cerakoted to exactly the colors that you want. You can do pretty much anything, which is a really, really cool process. And even though the guns are truly custom from a finishing perspective, the build time has been about 16 weeks, which for a custom gun is an incredible build time. And that's before you consider the fact that it is a double stack 1911 that takes Glock magazines. It's made in America with all tool steel parts. The Stealth Arms Platypus is a really, really cool gun. You should check out that video if you haven't already. Getting into my 3 sort of affordable to semi-affordable type guns, the first would be the Arex Delta M. Now, the Delta M is basically a Glock 19 sized gun that's a little bit thinner. It's fantastic for carry and it's very, very easy to shoot. The sale price on this pistol, if you get it iron sight only, is sub $300 in the 4th quarter of 2023. For an optic cut on there, it's not that much more expensive. For you guys who are really happy with your G3 Tauruses, I would encourage you when it's time to upgrade to look at the Delta. The Delta is an amazing gun. Next on the list is probably the easiest shooting gun in the lineup, but it is a little bit chunky, is the Beretta APX A1. These guns are selling for sub $400, as low as closer to $300 or less earlier this year with a $100 manufacturer rebate. The Beretta APX A1 takes sort of Beretta's approach to the duty service style gun, and it distilled it down into a polymer striker fired gun that sells for an amazing price. The recoil impulse on the new A1 is the gentlest in the field. If you're somebody who is recoil sensitive, then I can encourage you to check that gun out. That doesn't mean the slide is easy to manipulate, but the way the gun shoots, the predictability of the trigger and how the trigger is designed, it's a very, very shootable gun for not a lot of money. Now, this next one is going to be a little bit controversial, but hear me out on this. It is the Springfield Armory Echelon. And for those of you who are ready to criticize it without ever having shot it, you should at least check it out. It takes all of the best thinking currently available of the duty striker fire type gun and combines it in a single platform. The thing that I like the most about it is their optics cut, which is configurable to pretty much any optic that we're aware of, and it keeps the optics nice and low with a direct mill. Quality on the gun is very high, but people are kind of salty because when Springfield launches a product, they send a bunch out to influencers, and then it's like a tidal wave consuming your timeline, and I was just as guilty of that as everybody else. That may not be your favorite way to launch a pistol, but here we are months later, and I'm telling you, it's an awesome gun. Now we're gonna get into my top 5 pistols. Now, these pistols are not presented in any sort of order, except for 2 of them. There is definitely a most favorite and a second most favorite that I shot this year. But you're going to begin to notice a theme on these guns other than the high price tag pretty quickly. My second favorite gun that I shot this year, and one of the more exotic pistols I shot, was the Beretta PX4 from Langdon Tactical. Now, this is a $1,200 pistol with a rotating barrel that is roughly a Glock 19 size, has a double action, single action trigger mechanism, and is basically recoil immune. The gun has almost no recoil. It is super stable. It is a compact gun that you can absolutely shred with like a full-size gun, short of the weight. The trigger quality is excellent, and that rotating barrel is just magical. I mean, you can shoot full house plus P bear loads out of the thing. It behaves exactly as if you were just shooting 115 range loads. It does not care. It is super svelte. It is optimized for concealed carry. It is a really, really underrated gun. I used to think that you were not a real connoisseur of handguns unless you had a 19 or 2011 pistol, but I'm really starting to think that you're not a real one unless you have a PX4. Good news is that the base PX4 models are still awesome if you like iron sights, and they're not that expensive as well. Keeping it about that $1,200 mark comes the Sig Sauer P365 AXG Legion. Now, I know a lot of you, and I share this as well, are a little bit new model fatigued with how SIG releases a new model at least a couple per quarter, but I can tell you that this is the ultimate P365. It is roughly the size of a compact. It's skinnier, but similar to the Beretta, it is basically immune to recoil. And the added weight of the aluminum frame on that slim frame makes the gun balance a lot better, so that in recoil it is significantly more steady than even the P365X Macro with the compensator that is roughly the same dimension. The slide integrated expansion chamber, or slide comp if you want to call it that, does a good job of redirecting the gas, and it really does dumb down the recoil. It is absolutely a performance concealed carry piece, but the price tag also reflects it. Good news is that LOK Grips has just released aftermarket grips for the P365 AXG frames, so if you want some of those, you can use discount code HUMBLE and save 10%. Jumping up to full-size pistols, and this was a borrowed pistol, is the Bull Armory TAC Pro 4¼ inch barrel. Now this is a commander size 2011 that comes with V8 ports, meaning that there are 4 holes in line on the barrel that allow gas to escape and basically dumb down the recoil. While there is about a 5% loss in velocity, the controllability that you gain on a relatively lightweight pistol is very appreciable. So it's making a duty carry gun into a performance pistol very, very quickly. Bull Armory has really good craftsmanship. The triggers are amazing. All of the controls are very precise. The guns are just put together really, really well. I love my regular TAC 425, but shooting it next to the TAC Pro, it was just something else. The only big downside is the price, coming in at about $22.50, and availability, because these things sell out the moment they hit the shelf. Bringing the price back down to just $10.99, or in the fourth quarter of 2023, if you shop around just north of about $900, made just down the street in Plano, Texas, is the Shadow Systems DR920P. The Shadow Systems DR920P is their duty roll pistol with a slide that's been modified to account for the gigantic compensator at the front of the gun. A lot of the magic of a compensated pistol comes from a slide that's been lightened to reduce the amount of reciprocating mass and springing that gets the most out of that lightened slide, which is what the DR920P does. That weight reduction and spring tuning, frankly, is something a lot of factory compensated guns don't bother doing, so the 920P comes out of the box a much better shooter. It's a low bore axis gun with a massive compensator. I even tested it with a magazine of my 9 major competition loads. That's a 124 grain pill at about 1400 foot per second at the muzzle. Same 9 major used in the Shadow Systems. And the gun took it no problem. Now, I wouldn't recommend a steady diet of doing that, but the gun handled it really, really well. The recoil, as you can imagine, was very sudden and abrupt, but the massive compensator did steady the gun. It was really cool. That's on top of a lot of the other cool stuff that is going on with the Shadow Systems frame and all that stuff. So the 920P was a big surprise that I liked it so much. Which brings us to my #1 favorite gun. Now, as you remember, the Beretta APX was my #2, and my #1 is similar to the 920P. It is the Staccato XC. Staccato took the same approach to the gun in reducing the slide weight. It's basically a commander length slide with an island barrel, and it has a barrel where the compensator is milled out at the front. So it's roughly a commander length barrel before the compensator. The spring weight is reduced to like a 7-pound spring rate. And this is the gun that I bring out of the safe to get new people who are new to 9mm guns to shoot, because it is so gentle and mild. The trigger is so precise that it is easy to connect with. It's just an amazing shooting pistol. Again, it's legal in IDPA, so as of right now, this is my preferred IDPA competition pistol. Now, it is $4,200, which is an entire boatload of money, but it is really, really special. For a lot of people, the Staccato XE represents a grail gun, and I can understand why. The gun is amazing to shoot. So that's my list for the year. I'd be very curious to know your favorite pistol that you shot this year, so sound off in the comments and let me know. As always, I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.